Assalamu alaikum everyone. This is Gulshan EducationWali and I say warm welcome to all of you who is watching to me on my Facebook profile that is Gulshan EducationWali and also on my YouTube channel that is Voice of Faisalabad. Today in my studio a very honorable guest is here and I say warm welcome to her in my studio. I deeply value her presence with me today. Her experience, wisdom, and contribution bring immense learning to our platform. Thank you for sharing your time, your knowledge, and your inspiring voice with our participants. With profound respect and heartfelt appreciation, I welcome you as my honorary guest. Welcome to
Thank you.
Virginia in my studio. How are you?
I'm very good. Thank you for the invitation. I'm very happy to be here. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, fine. Thank you so much. Can you briefly introduce yourself with the audience?
Sure. So, my name is Dr. Virginia Rivera. I live in Puerto Rico, which is a small island in the Caribbean. We are part of the United States of America, but we are not a state of the United States of America. I have been living here already for almost 20 years, and I help women open businesses. So, for the past 10 years, I have been helping women open their own businesses because I believe that when women have financial autonomy, they make autonomous decisions. So I truly believe that every woman should have a business so she can have her own money. And when women have their own money, they actually help their communities thrive and their families get stronger. So, for the past 10 years, I've been doing this. I am a business consultant. I'm an entrepreneur. I am the CEO of SOLApreneurs magazine, and it's a magazine that gives visibility to women, especially those that have enterprises. In addition to that, I am a partner at eVillage and a vice president of PeeyushGroup of companies and trusts in India. So I have worked here in the United States, in Puerto Rico, and in India also. I am very, very lucky because I have the opportunity to do this all over the world. So I usually am on a plane speaking to women, explaining to them the importance of having their own money and why money is not bad and why having ambition is not bad, especially when you do it for the people that you love, when you do it to protect yourself and protect your family. So this is a job that carries me all over the world, and I feel very, very privileged to be able to do it.
Wonderful. I searched your profile and I found that you work on education also. What does your work with
Yes.
World Education Policy involve?
I am the current president of World Education Policy, and what we do in World Education Policy, we are a consortium of people. So we have various stakeholders, all those that are involved in education policy in the countries. We do know that United Nations has an overview, and their number four SDG is access to quality education. Nonetheless, we know that still more than 45% of the world is not and does not have access to quality education, and it may be more. So, world education policy is always evaluating the countries that participate in the United Nations, and we always identify the top 10 and the bottom 10. And our goal is to make sure that we have one global education policy that guarantees education for all people, especially for girls and women. Right now, we know that more than 250 million girls or women around the world do not have access to education. And this is something that we want to eradicate. But also, people with disability, people from different ethnicities, they are not able to have education in where they're at because they're nomads or because they have to emigrate to somewhere else. So at World Education Policy, all of us together try to find a solution to make sure that all barriers are eradicated. So every individual that wants to learn has access to quality education.
How a person can get a global education policy, because you work on the in the remote areas or backward countries, and you can judge the things very well. How a person can get this?
Well, the truth is that it is not just the government's responsibility, but mainly it is the government's responsibility. But I think that also civic organizations like the United Nations, they need to put pressure on the governments to make sure that they do reach to the most remote areas of their countries, which are usually rural areas where people are underserved and underrepresented. In my case, I have a school in rural India. We are probably 12 hours from Delhi, and we are a small village and in a very remote rural area. And we have been able to establish a school there. Nonetheless, this is with help from people that truly believe that everybody should have access. But the number one responsible for this is government. Government has to take seriously that every person in their country should have access to education. Unfortunately, governments do not do this. And unfortunately, the United Nations doesn't have enough people to really make sure that they're enforcing it. So World Education Policy wants to be that organization that will help the United Nations reinforce that every individual that wants to learn should have access to that global education. And global education is nothing more than education that is going to allow every person to be able to thrive and be economically sound. A lot of us, and we know this, that education is the equalizer. So when we do not have an educated population, then we normally hurt our country because our country does not have the resources and the main power and the brain power to get ahead. So, your question was, how can we guarantee? We don't guarantee this. We need to make sure that we reinforce and we make the countries use their resources to help every person, even those that are in remote areas.
Uh, okay, according to you, government should play a vital role in global education. What will be the second factor, according to you, who can play an impact on global education?
So civic organizations, civic like the United Nations, have a responsibility to reinforce this. Governments around the world need to guarantee basic needs, right, to all their citizens, not only those that can, but every citizen. So when I say that it's the government's responsibility, the government needs to find a way to reach every person in their country. Of course, we all know that this could be very difficult. If we look into India, where probably 15 million people are not even registered yet because it's such a populated country, we have to make sure that they are doing things to reach out and promise, not only promise, but actually do what they say they're going to do. Then, when you have civic organizations, that's the second responsible. Civic organizations like the United Nations that promise to represent every nation. And when they represent every nation, they represent every citizen of that nation. And if 50% of the citizens of that nation are not being given what has been promised, especially by fundamental rights. You know, just like air, just like we need to eat, like shelter. Education is one of those undeniable rights, but we do know that it's not happening around the world. So with world education policy, we need to make sure as a stake stakeholder group, as a consortium of many people, that we are going to the important people, that is government and civic organizations. And then we need to reach out to the private sector. The private sector exists because the public goes and purchases, buys, invests, helps their economy. So if we are helping the private sector's economy, then the private sector needs to help the other areas of the country, making sure that every citizen, every child that is born in a country needs to be guaranteed food,
Yes.
shelter, education, and healthcare. This is not a, if it goes good for us, this is not a maybe. No, no. If we want people to have children, if we want our workforces to be strong and young and skilled, if we want that, because you know that our economic outlook depends directly to our workforce. If we don't have a workforce, we really can't have economic growth. When we have a strong, viable workforce, then we can grow in our economy. So when we have children and when we bring kids into the world, what we are doing is guaranteeing in 20 years a strong workforce. If we're not feeding our workforce, if we're not educating our workforce, if we're not making sure that they're healthy, then when the time comes, we will not have a workforce that can actually support the infrastructure of our economy in any country, not only in some countries, any country. This is the way it works. So government has to do its job. Instead of using money for making buildings prettier, maybe we should make buildings stronger. But we don't need gold. We don't need jewels. We don't need any of these things because you don't eat that. People can't eat that. That is just decoration. We need to make sure that we tell our countries that we need that the government that works for us. This is something that I don't think people understand. The government, you don't work for the government. The government works for you. Your government officials were elected by you, and they need to work for you, and they need to make sure that they're doing what you need to be done. This is why populations get together. This is why people talk and protest and do different things, because we need to make sure that we are listened. So when I say that the government should be responsible, I do agree. But we need civic organizations of people like you and me, people that join organizations to make sure that the government is doing their job. And the private sector, which is the all the businesses, they also need to be a very important part of this because as people, we buy, we purchase, we invest in their businesses, so they need to make sure they're part of an equation that every single citizen has access to human needs, what are respecting human rights. May that be for women, may that be for not for religious, but we as thinking people, as people that are educated, we need to continue to understand that we are all exactly the same. We are not different because we worship a different God. We are not different because we speak a different language. We are not different because we have a different color of our skin. We are all exactly the same, and we all deserve to have the same human rights respected.
Oh, okay. We are same on the humanity basis, but all people are living in different countries, and ground realities are totally different for every country. And you worked on Delhi, and also you lived in other country. A comparison obviously will be come in your mind. How this comparison be? Compensate for global education? Is it tough for to make a global
So,
education policy?
well, I think that. it's not so much tough or difficult as it is consistency. You
Right.
know, the truth is that many people realize that what you and I are saying is a reality, but we need to make sure that the efforts are consistent, that they're doing it every single day. And when you compare different uh, scales of living in different countries, we have countries with developed economies and we have countries with emerging economies. Nonetheless, these countries exist and these countries are here and these countries are populated. So we're really not that different when it comes to our needs. We are different in the way we supply what is needed by our citizens. So when it comes to education, I truly believe that a good education can be given under a tree, just like a good education can be given in a four-story building with air conditioning and computers. I think that education is are the tools that we all have to teach to get ahead. Education is the number one equalizer. So the way that we can eradicate poverty is making sure that we bring education to every corner. And like you said, we don't all live the same way. So I've seen schools under a tree and they're incredible schools. Those teachers are just as prepared and passionate to teach as kids that go to a school in Finland with, air conditioning and books that are free and no homework and no tests, and because the teachers are there all day to help them. The truth is that teachers are all over the world and they're all willing to teach, but our governments have to give them the resources. We may not all need so much in material resources, but the truth is that the number one thing we need is the visualization that we can do it. We need people that truly believe that it can be done. We need positivity. We need to make sure that our soft skills, the soft skills that no AI could ever replace, are the ones that we are reinforcing in education. And those don't cost anything. Those are free to be passed down and to be given. I believe in a world where there's one global policy, and that global policy is that every individual from the age of 3 and up should have access to quality education, and that the civic organizations like the United Nations should reinforce this with all their members. And if a government is not doing its job, we need to see why. And we need to see in a task force to see what is being done and why it's not being accomplished. And I truly believe that rural education policy is the organization that can go in and assess what is going on so we can actually bring education to the most remote areas in a country, any country. We're talking from Antarctica all the way up to Siberia. Like the truth is that, yes, we live in different conditions, but there should be one global policy for all of us, that every person that is born at the age of 3 has access to a quality education. And that starts with preschool. That starts with early childhood education. That is very important. That should not be missed. And that also means finishing school, allowing girls to finish school. And that is high school. If they want to go to higher education, that is wonderful. But we should never ask our kids to stop going to school so they can work. We need to make sure that we can do both things, work and go to school. Because I do understand that in many families, everybody needs to pull their weight, everybody needs to work. Well, then we have a lot of school systems that allow for kids to go to school in the morning and work in the afternoon, or go to school in the afternoon and work in the morning. Whatever it is, there are ways that we can make things work, but we have to want to. And that comes, number one, from us, the population, the people, the citizens, making sure that our government is doing its job. And also civic organizations, making sure that these governments are doing their job. And private sectors, the people that we hand over money to because we need a refrigerator, because we need food, because we need fuel, because those people are also responsible for making sure that there's education in the most remote areas. This is not a Pollyanna, everything is beautiful look. This is a reality look. If our countries are going to prosper, we need prosperous workforces. And prosperous workforces are workforces that are educated. And this is the only way a country can actually come from emerging to developed. That is the one way that we can make sure that our countries go from emerging countries to developed countries, from emerging economies to developed economies. It starts at the age of 3 in early childhood education.
Virginia, you are wonderful and your vision is very clear. Uh, okay, Virginia, please tell me what are your biggest learning from your working across continents and diverse cultures? What you got from this?
Well, what I've gotten from this experience that I've had for the last 20 years is that we are all the same and we all want the same things. We all want our bellies to be satisfied. We all want to keep the cold away from our bodies. We all want shelter above our head. We all need peace in order to succeed. We all need education. So I don't think that any country and any citizen of any country is different from any other. I have seen that humanity is the same everywhere. We may have different religions, we may have different creeds, we may have different culture and traditions, but there's one thing that this human body needs, that is food, that is shelter, that is challenge for the brain, and that is activity to keep it strong. And that is where our work comes from. So, I think that many times people that don't understand how humanity works may think that some people are more developed or have better aptitude for some things. And I have to say that my experience is that everywhere that I've been, every little child wants to play. Every child wants to play. Every mother wants to see their kids okay. And every man is out there trying to make it work for everybody. But I have to say one thing, women every single day wake up and put on a smile on their face and they go out to work. The majority of countries have women working. Women are not at home taking care of the kids. We need collaboration. We need father and mother, grandmother and uncles, everybody to pitch in the raising of this new workforce. We can't expect women to do everything. We cannot expect women to do everything. And this is really, really important. I've seen this everywhere. Women do all the work by themselves and have no collaboration. They're looked upon in a very negative way if they can't cook for a bunch of people, if they are tired. The truth is that there is no such thing as a superwoman. There is a woman just like there is a man. So we need to understand that women have to work today because one salary is not enough. So that means that to raise a family, just the woman is not enough. We need the husband or the father or a man or the grandfather or the uncle or the cousin, whatever it is. We need a grandmother. We need an aunt. We need our neighbors. We need to make sure that our communities are thriving because when our communities are thriving, then we are thriving. So this is why I say that women, this is why I work in what I do. I need to make sure that every woman has an opportunity to make money so she can make her family strong. When she makes her family strong, she makes her community strong. And when our communities are strong, our nations are strong. And we have strong nations, we have a strong planet, one that can move forward, one that can promise the undeniable rights that every citizen needs across the world.
Virginia, and can we discuss your personality? What is your favorite color?
My favorite color is green.
Any
It's the color of
specification?
prosperity.
Any specification for choosing green? Why?
It's the color. It's the color of prosperity. It's the color of nature. It's the color of rebirth. So for me, green is very special.
Okay. What is your favorite food?
So I love Indian food. I love curries and I love I really do. I also love Spanish food from Spain. So there's a competition on those flavors, but they're very flavorful. But I really do love dals and I love curries and I love supi. I mean I love Indian food.
Are you a good cook or not?
Actually, I was a chef for 11 years. So I worked in hotels and restaurants. That was actually my first jobs. So yes, I can cook.
Okay. What are your hobbies?
So I love to travel, number one. I love reading. I could get lost in a good book for hours. And I love to cook.
Okay. Thank you so much. You joined to me. What will be your message? Would you like to give to educators, policymakers, or community leaders, whatever? What will be your message?
It takes one person to make a difference. Don't ever think that because you're on your own, you don't make a difference. You do. It takes one person. And if that one person gets together with another person, before you know it, we are a community of people wanting to do well. So never be afraid to say what you want to say and never be afraid to believe that you can make the difference.
Thank you so much, Virginia. I
Thank you.
really appreciate your work, and I really inspired by you. Thank you so much to join to me, and it is a wonderful meeting. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
Having a nice life.
Thank